Hey guys, Chaser here. It's that time again as I go through my 4 comic picks of the week. So let's get started. First off, Batman Eternal number 29. This issue finally goes back to the Deacon Blackfire subplot. This is a part of the book that I have a lot of trouble caring about, particularly because the cast that is involved with these events is one that I have problem connecting with. The fact that it has been over 2 months since the last time we checked on this storyline makes it worse. Now, to be completely fair, this issue does some important advance on the story. As a matter of fact, I can say that it did a great job on building up the tension. It's very well paced. Now, the ending deserves special mention for being completely insane. The problem here is that while I know that this subplot is connected to the overarching storyline, it doesn't feel that way. I got the same sensation with the Nanomachine subplot involving Bluebird and Red Robin. And my guess that the reason for this disjointing feeling is the lack of impact that each subplot has on the other. With the exception of the Gang War storyline, it doesn't feel like the Asylum and Nanomachine arcs can radically affect each other or the main storyline. Thankfully, this issue seems to be addressing that problem, at least with the Arkham plot, because I don't see how this balls to the walls ending can be left as its own little thing. It's a step on the right direction, even if the dialogue can get a bit too over the top. There is a lot of what can only describe as evil incantation style of gloating, and it can get awkward for some. The art is tone appropriate, but it can get excessively murky on places, and I don't think this style was the best choice to show Backwing's cybernetic point of view. It's still a solid issue. I give this a 3.5 out of 5. The next book on the list is All New Ghost Rider number 8, part 3 on the Legend storyline. Not going to lie, I actually hated the art on the first third of this issue. Damon Scott has some neat designs, but the way he handles himself panel-wise is like deciphering the bloody Da Vinci Code. The way he stages the action looks like somebody shooting with a wide-angle lens turned to maximum the whole time, and on top of that, sometimes the action itself is put on the smallest panels of the entire page. But the book actually picks itself out with a great, dark, and sometimes frightening second half. Things are starting getting out of hand, and there's a good build-up to the out-of-control conclusion. Although there's a moment involving internet research that struck me as unnecessary because it only established something that we already knew. On the emotional part of the drama, and trust me, the end of this issue will hit you with the Phil hammer, we finally see Robbie's involvement with the supernatural starting to break havoc on his life. There's a scene halfway through that had me screaming,
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
at the top of my lungs before I realized what was going on. Overall, a very intense issue, with an admittedly big stumble earlier on. This arc is building up to a very explosive confrontation, and it's good to know what Ellie was up to on his human life. Spoiler alert, it was pretty bad. This gets a 4 out of 5. Then there's New Warriors number 11, the penultimate issue of the series, and sadly feels that way. This book can only be described as a gigantic action scene with barely any plot movement, and I feel sorry for those who entered the series later on. I have trouble finding any sign of characterization in these kids. There are some glimpses given by the behavior in battle, which is nice. But then you have the antagonists, who have no personality at all. The plot stagnation is my biggest concern, especially with only one issue to go. I will say that, as a whole, the overarching plot of the New Warriors works fine. The problem is this issue in particular barely advances it. One thing that I have noticed is that it feels like the whole team is treated like one single subject. This approach actually helps you to avoid having to juggle many plot points at once, but it also creates another problem on its own. If you don't have an engaging plot issue after issue, then you lose your hook because the characters by separate don't work. And while I will say that they work more than okay when together, trust me, this book has a great assembled cast, they are not too different from other team-ups that I have seen with teenagers, particularly in anime. The art, on the other hand, is a joy to watch. Marcus Stowe, while still a bit sterile on the background work, excels in the action department, with popping colors and great feel of impact. This isn't his most brutal fight scene, that honor goes to the Red Robin vs Rachel Ghoul fight, but here he handles himself more than capably, by making great use of the team's signature abilities. A very mixed bag issue, marked by stunted plot progression and very flat antagonist. This issue felt forgettable and I will almost skip it. This gets a 2 out of 5, I expected more from Just. Finally, my most anticipated issue of the week, Dead of Wolverine, the Logan Legacy number 2. Well, guess why. This issue is, in a word, weird. Probably the strangest plotline I have seen X-23 involved with since Avengers Arena. Then again, things have a tendency to get bizarre whenever Alpha Flight gets involved. And it does for solid entertainment in what is essentially a story about a teenager coming to terms with the death of her dad. Now for the most critical part of the book. This is of course Laura's characterization. I will admit that I like the all new X-Men take more than most people online, although I totally understand where their frustration is coming from. That being said, Tim Seeley's version of Laura in this book feels like a combo between the teenager's instability emphasized by Brian Michael Bendis in All New X-Men and the melancholia-driven take of Marjorie Liu on the X-23 solo. It's an interesting and engaging take on the character, and I would like to see more of this interpretation with a serious storyline. That being said, the ending of this issue is amazing. It's cathartic, fulfilling, and it does good progress on her. I was afraid that her process of coping with Logan's death will take way longer, but Seeley does a pretty good job at stopping this from being an angst festival. The art was managed by newcomer Ariela Cristantina, and for the most part is very impressive and tone-fitting. As an anime viewer, it's kinda hard not to see Laura Kinney as a character that could have come out from that media, and the art of this book kinda reminded me of that, with a manga-esque style emphasized by very expressive eyes and thick outlines. That being said, the close-ups on the faces can get a bit awkward. It looks like somebody sprayed water on the Wicked Witch's face instead of throwing a full bucket. I'm melting! All in all, a very satisfying issue that could be read on its own while ignoring the rest of the miniseries. As an X-23 fangirl, this issue left me happy, yet at the same time a bit weirded out. Good stuff, and kinda setting up that it won't last longer. This gets a deserved 4 out of 5. And that will be all for this round. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope to see you all soon. This is Cesar saying, someone give a happy ending to the Legends storyline, please!